Welcome back to the Hood News Fantasy Football Podcast. This is episode 30. We're doing the Week 7 waiver pickups. I got my boys, MFB,
Yep.
BBTB,
Yep.
and I'm your host, Keem. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We'll get started with QBs here. Aaron Rodgers at the top, rostered in 41% of leagues. He did his thing last game. He played like vintage Rodgers, and he's a solid pickup if you need a quarterback.
Threw a crazy Hail Mary before halftime, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That took me back to the Green Bay days, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're chilling. You're chilling. What you call it? Aaron Rodgers? Stud. What you call it? I would personally start Aaron Rodgers over Kyler Murray next week because I don't think Kyler Murray will perform. So that's why I think we have him on the pickup list, because I think if you listen to our last episode, please listen to it. But we have great information on there, by the way. Hit the Discord too. And Aaron Rodgers could be a streamable candidate if you have like Kyler Murray or something, because Kyler Murray isn't pretty much the best. So Aaron Rodgers
against Pittsburgh next week.
Yeah, I was gonna say against Steelers.
That'd be solid.
Tough.
Prime time game.
Temper expectations, but yeah, a primetime game, yeah, he could. But he has Pittsburgh, New England, then Houston, Arizona, and then the Colts. Those three matchups should be good for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then next on the list, we have Drake May, who looked pretty good for his debut. I think he had a couple deflections that were intercepted. I don't think it was necessarily his fault. I guess he could have not aimed at the helmet better. I don't know, but
I think the biggest fault with his like play on Sunday was like just taking sacks. Like just taking them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, with that being said, Houston is like the top press rate against QBs, right? So toughest matchup for his debut. Props to Drake May.
Yeah.
Still put out a solid fantasy performance. And he gets Jacksonville next week. And you know what we say about Jacksonville?
Start anyone against Jacksonville.
Players. Start your offensive
definitely
players,
a solid streamer next week if you need it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You have confidence in him like that already?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, he looked solid, man. I mean, I think Houston defense is like top 5 in the league. So I don't know, man. Drake May finally performing. The Patriots were horrible, like before him. You know what I mean? I think there's a stat where Jacoby Brissett didn't even break 160 passing yards in his first 4 games or something as a Patriot. And so basically, Drake May stepped in on a good Houston defense, and he just looks like a stud. And he has a great matchup next week. So I think that's a great streamable QB.
Yeah, and there's some bye weeks next week, so you got Caleb Williams on bye, a couple other teams, so you put him into your lineup. That's it for the QBs. Let's jump into wide receivers. Christian Watson at the top, 41%. He's healthy. I don't think he got injured after the game or anything. Caught a touchdown last game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so, and then with Dontavian Wicks being out for, I think, week to week with the shoulder, Christian Watson could see more of those target share.
Yeah, and it's the same thing what MFB was talking about on the last episode, that it's pretty much just like a rotation of players of just getting targets. You got Reed on there, Watson, Romeo Doubs, Kraft. So hopefully Watson could possibly be the guy, but a lot of mouths to feed on that offense.
Yeah, they're rotating each week, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you need a player, you can take a shot on these guys. That offense is moving. Jordan Love is throwing the ball a lot. And that brings us to our next pickup candidate, Romeo Doubs, rostered in 35% of leagues, caught 2 touchdowns last week. So, I mean, definitely you kind of want any like piece of the offense that you can get. One of them could hit for you and it might win you your week.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's very true. That's a good point. I will say specifically with Dobbs is he led routes ran on the Packers offense. So, naturally you follow the routes, you'll probably get the targets and then you'll probably get the volume and the catches, right? So it's kind of naturally how it goes. It doesn't always go like that, but I try to follow all the metrics to give me the best probability of hitting, right?
Yeah. Yep. And also, and then I think Kimo said last week that Dobbs got suspended because he wanted the ball more. So he got the ball more, and obviously he performed. So Dobbs could.
Yeah,
I'd personally take Dobbs over Watson. Just
Yeah,
crazy.
Same for sure.
Yeah. So like,
Watson's too injury prone.
yeah.
I think Romeo Dobbs. I think the quote was that he was frustrated with his role in the offense. I guess the first few weeks he just wasn't happy with whether it's target share or just the way he was being utilized.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he got suspended. That's what I remember reading. So you can look it up and see exactly why. But either way, he got 2 touchdowns last week, and you want piece of this offense, especially with Dontavian Wicks being out or being week to week. You just want players in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
Next on the list, Rashad Bateman, who has been doing solid the last few weeks over in Baltimore. He's obviously the second behind, say, Flowers, but still doing enough. He had only had 4 targets, 71 yards. They play Tampa next week, which should be a shootout. So, I mean, as long as they're throwing the ball, you want targets or players that are getting the ball in these shootouts.
Mm-hmm.
Also, something that we mentioned last week in the preview, right? There was like a random stat I think I threw about Ravens running the ball versus Ravens passing the ball. And eventually the takeaway was like, yo, if you have Ravens pass catchers, you're going to see more payouts soon just because regression kind of has to go back that way against the run and balance out. So we definitely saw that this week with the pass catchers getting a lot more points.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Last but not least, Demario Douglas, rostered in 7% of leagues. He was solid with Drake May. He had 9 targets, 6 receptions, 92 yards, and a touchdown. He played well. Probably the number 1 targeted player on that offense. Probably their best offensive player. And they play Jacksonville next week. So he's flex worthy next week.
He's been having good target share the last 2 games. He connected super well with Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays Jacksonville next week, bro. So it just everything seems to line up.
Yeah, and if you need a quarterback and you need a flex, I'd stream both of them and get that double dip going, versus the pretty horrible Jacksonville defense. So those 2 could be some solid pickups.
And just because it looks like a solid pickup, it's going to be terrible. And Drake May is probably going to get you like 10 fantasy points. And Douglas will get you like 4.
Nah, bro. Trust.
Why? All right. So just in general in fantasy, it always feels like, oh, this is a great play. It's so set up. It's set up so perfectly for you. I don't know why. Just the ones that are set up perfectly end up failing. I'm not saying they're not going to do good. I like Demario Douglas.
Sure. Sometimes for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes matchups are there and they're real, and it kind of goes how we predict.
You follow the numbers, right? And
we're not going to be 100%, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, for sure. But it did, when that happens, it's frustrating. But Demario Douglas is a good player. He's a sophomore. He was doing decent last year for the Patriots. So I don't know if him and Drake May connect more often. He could be a good stash or a good player for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
That's it for receivers. Let's jump into the running backs. Top of the list, Algier. Rostered in only 30%. Is that accurate? 30% of leagues?
That's accurate.
Yeah.
Really? I gotta go double check because I think we talked about him before that he should be rostered. He had 18 attempts last week. It was, garbage time points, 5 yards, a touchdown, and he had a 2-point conversion. But they play Seattle next week, and teams have been running all over Seattle. So I think it's Tampa and Dallas. He's got some good matchups upcoming, and they seem to involve him a lot near the goal line.
I wouldn't say you plug him as a flex. You can, but not like a very concrete flex for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but definitely high value handcuff. Like he kind of has to be rostered. Like I'm surprised he's not.
Yeah, I said 30% is kind of crazy.
Like obviously, like Bijan is the better running back, but if Bijan gets hurt somehow, he's going to become Tyler Algier will literally become the Jordan Mason of the Falcons. So I feel like Tyler Algier would be a great handcuff. Keep that man on your roster for sure.
Yeah. Next on the list, Ty Chandler. They're coming off the bye, and Aaron Jones did get injured last week with a hip injury. So make sure that you have Ty Chandler rostered if they
Aaron
want
Jones,
to.
older back, and even Green Bay, he would take time to heal. That's what I remember last year. So Ty Chandler is like kind of a must add if you need a RB plug and play this week.
Yeah, but with Aaron Jones, I think they came out with saying like that he missed a very like crazy injury. So right now he's just week to week. So I don't see him playing next week. So I think you should go get Ty Chandler. But obviously we got to wait for the reports. But Ty Chandler must add for sure.
Yeah, good stash. Even if Aaron Jones is fine, if he does get a more serious injury later on, you're going to want to have Ty Chandler, especially for an Aaron Jones owner. Next on the list, Jalen Warren, rostered in 42% of leagues. He's back. He was out for a couple weeks with, I think it was a knee, but he had 9 touches against Las Vegas. They play the Jets next week, but just a good handcuff. Anything happens to Najee Harris, Jalen Warren is going to get most of the work. I think they also have on that team, what is his name, Cordero Patterson, but he's been out for a few weeks with an ankle injury, so I don't think you need to worry about him. Next on the list, Sean Tucker, who blew up this week, was the number 1 fantasy performer this week. He's interesting. He's also a second year, and I think that the most of it obviously had to do with Rachaad White being out, but he's not a bad running back and probably a good stash.
I would say a great stash. He looked really good out there on every time he touched the ball. The coach even came out and was saying like, yeah, we might have a 3-headed monster backfield now. And the coach isn't much of like a capper. So I would kind of take his word. Now that does obviously pose a headache on who to start and when, right? Sean Tucker also caught more passes or got out targeted, like more targeted than Bucky. So just something to take note of. It wasn't a wide margin, but just still something to take note of for the backfield. I mean, I don't see one guy taking like over like that, but
yeah, I mean, I think the reason why he probably might have gotten like the more targets and stuff like that, and the more catches, is because the second half the Saints didn't score anything, and the Bucks just started going crazy. So I feel like the head coach was like, "Hey, let's put our third string RB in. Let's make sure Bucky doesn't get hurt," and that's pretty much I think what kind of happened.
Yeah, he looks like a good stash though. I mean, only roughly 1% of leagues, so if you can just pick him up as a free agent, if you want to spend a waiver pick on him, if you don't get any of these other guys, maybe you can get Sean Tucker. Might be a decent stash. We'll have to wait and see, these coming weeks. Next on the list, Dameon Pierce, rostered in 6% of leagues. He's healthy. I mean, I don't think he's played a game, or he played in the first game, then got injured.
Yeah.
Had a 54-yard touchdown in the game on Sunday. So, I mean, that was garbage time points against New England. But still, I mean, Mixon, he, was out for a few weeks, and so was Dameon Pierce. But Dameon Pierce looked good, So if anything happens to Mixon, you want Pierce on your roster. He's going to be a plug and play RB1.
I know homies were struggling with like Cam Akers, Dare Ogunbowale.
Yeah,
but like now it's just like if Mixon gets hurt again, right? Hopefully not, but if he does, you kind of want Dameon Pierce, bro. Like he looks 100%. Like way better than the other 2 backs for Houston.
Yeah. Easily.
Next we got Kimani. How do you say his name? Vidal.
Kimani Vidal.
Chimani Vidal.
It's not Chimani Vidal, but anyways, from rostered in 11% of leagues from the Chargers, the backup. Gus Edwards is on IR, so he was backing up J.K. Dobbins over in Chargers backfield, and he got a 30-yard touchdown. They threw him a ball, and he got a 30-yard touchdown play. So that was he's definitely one to stash, especially if you have J.K. Dobbins, because from what we've said before, I mean, I hate to say it, I'm waiting for J.K. Dobbins to just fall apart every year. He's got some injury, something happens to him. So, I mean, I hope he stays healthy, but if anything happens to him, Vidal's going to get a huge workload, and it's all going to go through him.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on any of these guys, the running backs? Who do you guys prioritize in waivers if you have to pick up? For sure,
Ty
pick
Chandler,
up
because
Number one, Ty Chandler, easily.
I say Algier over Ty Chandler.
No.
For a long-term stash, sure.
Yeah,
I could see that.
I'm thinking more long term. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know if Aaron Jones is actually going to play or not. So if he plays, Ty Chandler's more of a stash. Algier is still getting work. He's getting goal line work. They kind of switch those RBs in and out. Algier should be rostered. He should not be on waivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the rest of them, I think Algier, Ty Chandler, and then for me it's between Pierce and Vidal. Yeah, I like Pierce over Vidal. I think
I'm not mad at that. I'd probably go Jalen Warren though as my third.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not too high on Jalen Warren, but maybe just for the stash.
I'm not too big. They play against the Jets, the Giants, the bye week. But if anything happens to Najee, I mean, and they did use him a lot more, maybe because he came back from injury. He only had 9 touches, as opposed to, I mean, Najee Harris had a large touchdown run that game. So maybe I just didn't have enough opportunity. But yeah, I mean, pick these guys up. Most of these guys should be rostered. Take a shot on the ones that if you can't get the other guys, maybe you can get Sean Tucker or if you can get Pierce or Vidal, if you can't get Algier or Ty Chandler, that should be solid. Moving on to the tight ends, not too many here. Noah Fant rostered 27% of the leagues. Seemed to be doing pretty good. I feel like his stats came near the end of the game on Thursday against the Niners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he had how many targets? He have 6 targets,
which is solid for a tight end.
Yeah, so it's not bad. I mean, tight end landscape is pretty. It's gotten better. I'm not gonna lie. These last few weeks have been pretty solid.
Yeah,
9.3 fantasy points, 6 targets, 6 receptions, 63 yards. It's serviceable, against a solid Niners defense. So I think we mentioned him in a previous episode. He'll have his games here and there. He's a streamable tight end. Hunter Henry, we had him in an episode before. He's rostered in 26% of leagues. With Drake May at quarterback, he might be able to produce more than we thought. Because, I mean, before he was dealing with Jacoby Brissett, so he had 3 receptions on 5 targets, 41 yards, and a touchdown against Houston. So he might be on the come up with the switch at quarterback there.
Yeah, and he's pretty startable next week too against Jacksonville, and so I feel like if you need a tight end,
yeah. That's pretty much it for tight ends. I mean, yeah. Who do you guys prioritize here? I prioritize Hunter Henry just with the switch at quarterback.
Easily.
Like
probably the offense Henry for sure.
Yeah, the offense
against Jacksonville.
Yeah, and especially in terms of a stream option with a lot of. I mean, Cole Kmet blew up last week, and then they have a bye this week, so you can't trust him. You can't play him this week. So yeah, pick up Hunter Henry if you need a tight end. Moving into the defenses. Do you want to say something, BBTV?
I was going to say we forgot to prioritize the wide receivers and QBs, by the way, for the audience.
We did, yeah. I mean,
like my number one pick.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, the things though, I have like Dobbs first, Demario Douglas second, Watson third, and then Bateman at the 4. That's how I see it.
I have it in the same order.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably same. I would agree.
Okay.
And then just QBs real quick.
That was easy. They could have figured that out themselves.
Nah. And then QB, I'd play May over Rodgers. But if you need someone, then it's Rodgers.
I would take Drake May. I don't know if I would take him over Rodgers, but for next week, yes, Drake May has
for next week.
Yeah. He may just be a good stash. He may just continue to produce. Anyways, let's move into the defenses. We have the Rams versus Vegas, who have looked terrible. They didn't have Jacoby Myers, who's there now, number 1. Let me ask you guys, there's been reports that Devontae Adams might not leave the Raiders, so he might just stay. In that case, if he stays and he plays next week against the Rams, do you start the Rams defense?
Yeah.
I still would.
Even with Devontae Adams? Okay.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell throwing the ball? Okay.
Easily.
All right. Well, I mean, Rams roster only in 2% of leagues. Easy to pick up, easy stream. Washington versus Carolina. Carolina's not that good. Washington defenses look pretty solid overall. Only rostered 4% of leagues. I don't know if I said that. Then you have Cincinnati versus Cleveland, rostered 16% of leagues. Every week that oh my god! Every week that
head
Deshaun
coach
Watson
came out and said we're still going Deshaun Watson for whatever reason.
Start. This is my number one defense pickup: Cincinnati versus Cleveland. They're going to. I don't want to guarantee a touchdown for the Cincinnati defense. But I can all but guarantee a touchdown from the Cincinnati defense, bro. That he's just so bad. He just keeps. I think Philadelphia defense last week had 5 sacks on him, and the week before he got sacked like 7 times. Like he just sits there and just nothing, no mobility, no nothing.
Yeah.
Anyways, Cincinnati defense, 16% of leagues, pick them up, and then we have New England versus Jacksonville, 9% of leagues. Jacksonville. I mean, how do you guys prioritize these? In which order?
I'd probably go Rams first. Washington second, Cincy third, and then New England fourth.
Interesting.
Low key, I'm going Cincy first.
Yup.
Then probably Rams second.
Yes.
And then maybe New England, actually, to be honest. I don't know.
But the thing is, the reason why I have Cincy at the third is just because I think this is a divisional game. If I'm not mistaken, Cincy and Cleveland are in the same division. So that could be a shootout. In a way,
yeah, bro. Deshaun Watson, I don't think so, man. I'm gonna be
could be like obviously Deshaun Watson has been playing horrible, but could he pop off in a divisional game?
No.
Sorry, yours.
No, dude. He had 2 great matchups against Washington and Philly, and like for the QB, a solid matchup. Couldn't do anything against either of those guys. I mean, you're getting sacked like 5 times a game. Can you look up the average number of sacks on Deshaun Watson this year, like per week? Can you look that up? Can we get that stat on the screen?
Try.
I go Cincinnati. I want to say Cincinnati first, man, and then Rams, and then probably Washington, then New England. I don't know about the Jacksonville offense. They got their tight end back. I already forgot his name. Anyways,
yeah.
Let's move into the kickers. Top of the list. I mean, these are all kind of shots in the dark. Blake Grupe from the Saints. We have Cameron Dicker the kicker, and then we have Jake Bates. All rostered less than 30%.
Just real quick on Deshaun Watson, he's been sacked 31 times this year. In 6 weeks.
He's averaging more than 5 sacks a game.
31 times this year.
More than 5 sacks a game. And you're telling me that you don't prioritize Cincinnati defense?
Yeah. I mean, you might be right on that one.
I mean, who knows? Maybe this is the week he pops off, but I'm still
Nick
going
Chubb,
with
the savior, just going stupid on Cincinnati. Who knows?
This is true. Yeah, they are debuting Nick Chubb. Yeah, that's something to think about. You're not wrong there. First game back, I don't think they give him a ton of touches, but
I would love to put Denver D, but Pat Surtain with a concussion.
Yeah,
oh man.
So
that's
if they had Pat Surtain versus Rattler, bro. Oh man,
Spencer Rattler.
Yeah,
it would have been good. Back to the kickers. I mean, yeah, these guys. You could take a shot on these guys. Blake Grupe from the Saints, Dicker from the Chargers, and then Jake Bates, Detroit. That Detroit offense moving. We saw him steamroll over the Dallas defense, and then they play Minnesota. They're in a dome. He scored. I mean, what did he score? 19 fantasy points last week. Jake Bates?
Yeah, 19. He was the highest last week.
If he could do it again, shoot, against Minnesota defense, why not, man? That might win you your week. If he's not picked up already, pick him up. That's about it for the kickers and defense. Do you guys want to rank these kickers? I think it's just take a shot, man. Don't
Just take a shot. I wouldn't pick up a waiver pickup on a kicker. Don't waste your waiver or any fab. But just if you see one, just guess. That's pretty much it.
Go with your gut. End of the day, I tell everyone, go with your gut. We tell you guys all this information. At the end of the day, you have your own feelings about these players or your own, superstitions. Just go with whatever your gut tells you. Mm-hmm. If you listen to us and we steer you wrong, you're going to be mad at us. So we give you the best information. Go with your gut so you can blame yourself, not us.
Please.
And hopefully we can give you guys the best information that we can. That's what we're here for. Mm-hmm. That's it for the waiver episode, week 7. Good luck. Hope you guys get the players you're looking for. If not, best of luck to you. Maybe next week.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.